Hello, my name is Pam Hoffee, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Globus family of brands and the Managing Director of one of the brands, Avalon Waterways. So, I'll tell you a little bit about our company. We have four brands. Two of those brands are touring brands. So, Globus, our namesake brand, and Cosmos, which is a value oriented brand. Both offer tours all over the world. We've been in business for over 90 years, since 1928. Avalon Waterways is our river cruise brand, and we have 14 ships sailing in Europe and two ships sailing on the Mekong. We also offer cruises in the Galapagos Islands, in South America, on the Amazon, and on the Nile. And we also have one last brand to talk about, which is Monograms, our independent vacations brand. So that's a little bit about the company. I want to first say thank you to the Academies of Nashville for asking me to do this, and to all of you for your interest in the travel industry. I am always excited to get to talk to young people who have an interest in joining this industry that has, quite frankly, been just so good to me. I have had the opportunity to travel the world. I have been on all seven continents. I have led a very rich life and experiences, and I'm so thankful to this industry for giving me all of these opportunities. I've made great friends and just had a wonderful career and continue to have that. So I encourage anyone who's interested in this industry to give it serious consideration because there are great opportunities. So, a little bit about me and how I got into the industry. It's kind of a fun story. I was attending the University of Colorado in Boulder, and I desperately wanted to go on a program called Semester at Sea. I had the travel bug, and it's a program that takes college students around the world to study during their semester while sailing around the world. And my parents said no, they weren't willing to pay for it, and I couldn't go. So, I happened to be out one night with some friends, and a friend of a friend was there, and she had worked on the Semester at Sea ship as an internship in Alaska that past summer. She was also attending school in the business school. My major was in marketing, and hers was in tourism management. So I learned about this internship. I immediately added the tourism management class and applied for that internship, which I was lucky enough to get. It paid $75 a week. So it was not a get rich for the summer opportunity, but again, rich in experiences, and that's really an important thing as you start in this industry, is that experience. So I ended up working on that ship for 8 years, and many, many summers in Alaska. Moved up from an intern role to being the shore excursion manager. So that was what I did on board. I also was able to travel around the world many times on the Semester at Sea program that I mentioned. That was my initial interest in travel and wanting to be part of this industry. So, in the shore excursion department, it was a great starting place in this industry working on board the ship. I got a great opportunity to learn customer service skills, which is going to take you very far in any career, of course. I got to learn public speaking, which has been an incredible thing for me and in my career. It's something that I do quite frequently. It is something I was terrified of when I started on board the ship. And having that opportunity and really having to do public speaking made it something that I'm very comfortable with. And it has really served me well in my life. So I encourage you to take every opportunity you can to do public speaking and to become comfortable with it, because it will take you far if it ends up being something that you need to do in your role. If you're comfortable and don't have nerves with it, it makes your life a lot easier, trust me. I also learned accounting, because you had to balance your books every day and at the end of every cruise. It was basically running my own little business entity on board by having that shore excursion department. So I learned a lot. From there, when I decided I didn't want to be on ships traveling anymore, I moved to San Francisco, and I became the the program coordinator for the cruise line. That meant that I was the person who was actually organizing the excursions from the office in San Francisco for the people who were on board. I also hired some of the lecturers, and eventually I became the manager of operations. And then when the director of operations was retiring, I was offered his role. One of my pieces of advice to young people is to always be available. If there is an opportunity to do something new and to try a new project, raise your hand. Because if you're the person who's interested and willing to try something new, you'll get exposed to a lot of new things. And when new opportunities arise, people will think of you because you worked on a project with them. And I've always seen that those are the people who I found that's how I got ahead in my career, and I see that that's how a lot of people that I see getting ahead are able to do it. So when I came to Denver, I decided to move back to Denver, which is where I'm from. I found this wonderful company called the Globus family of brands, and I have been with this organization now for about 17 years. I started as the manager of product creation, which meant that I was responsible for the team that created all of our tours for our company that were anything outside of Europe. So our people in Europe do everything for Europe, and we handle the rest of the world. So what an incredible opportunity. And I remained in that role for a few years, and then eventually was made director of product and operations, and then eventually vice president of product and operations. And then a couple of years ago, I was promoted to COO and given my dream job when that was combined with the managing director of Avalon Waterways. And I say my dream job because it took me back into cruising, which is which are my roots again in the travel industry, to be back in cruising. And I'm just thrilled with what I do. So, a little bit about my day to day. You heard about my background. What do? I attend a lot of meetings. That's one thing that I do. When you have a wide group of people, my work group spans the product team that I mentioned before, the operations group, so the people who support the day-to-day operations of our trips, and our tour directors, which is a role that I don't know that many people think about who are coming into the travel industry. And it is an incredible opportunity to be able to travel, to be able to guide guests all over the world. Being a tour director requires a ton of skills, a ton of knowledge, public speaking skills, but what a great opportunity to be able to travel. So they support those tour directors who are on the road. I have the inventory team, the revenue management team, the contracting group who work with our hotels and find all of our vendors to create these fabulous trips that we offer. So it is a wide and varied group. And I work with them to make sure that we're implementing the product strategy and the corporate strategies that I've worked with the rest of the executive team to create. So that's basically, what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, a lot of project management through that. Obviously, I wish I could say everything went perfectly all the time, but I am part of the incident response team. And I think this year, in a COVID year, we have had more that we've had to deal with than ever before. In creating our protocols, which are very important to have put into place, our health and safety protocols. We worked with a third-party health and safety expert to help us put in place the protocols that would allow us to get back to operating as safely as possible. I also do a lot of media interviews in my role as managing director of Avalon. And I am lucky enough and fortunate enough to get to represent the company and represent the Avalon brand at a lot of trade shows. This year, most of them are virtual. So I do a lot of this speaking on Zoom and different events to groups. But in a normal year, they're live and in person. So again, the public speaking skills. There are trade shows in the travel industry that are thousands of people. So sometimes I'm on stage speaking to thousands of people. And again, not having that nervous feeling and being able to get up and talk to groups is really important in my role. So those are probably not the most fun things that you've heard me talk about that are part of my role. I do have a lot of really fun things that I get to do, which is probably the main reason that I call this my dream job. So I get to help design our ships when we're building new ships or when we're refurbishing. We just launched the Avalon Envision, which my background here is actually the observation deck of the Avalon Envision that we launched last year in Budapest. And this photo was taken at the launch event that we did. Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, was the godmother of the ship when we did the launch event. So I was the host of this big launch party where we got to have media and our travel advisor partners. So that's another role in the industry to think about, is a travel advisor. And I'm sure that travel advisors will come and tell you about their day-to-day far better than I would, but what an incredible role within the industry, and really our lifeblood as tour operators and our greatest partners. So I get to help design we have professional designers, obviously, but I get to do things like if they say, do you like the gray or the beige? I get to pick which one I like and help pick the artwork, things like that. We also host media. I get to host media on cruises. I get to host travel advisors on cruises. I get to host even our customers on cruises. We quite often will do President's Cruises where I get to host our customers on board. So it is a fantastic job. Probably one of the favorite things that I get to do, and something I'm very passionate about, is to represent the Avalon brand on our sustainability committee. It's a very important thing to our company. It's something I want you to be aware that we think about, we talk about protecting our world. Our generation needs to protect the world for your generation. We support an organization called the Ocean Cleanup. And if you aren't familiar with the Ocean Cleanup, I certainly encourage you to find out about it. It is an organization that was started by a young man, at the time a teenager, who was snorkeling in Greece and saw more plastic than fish when he was snorkeling. And he wanted to solve the problem. And so he came up with a device that could clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and clear the plastics out of the ocean. And that's his goal. He's also come up with something called the Interceptor that will actually prevent the plastic from getting into the ocean by collecting it from the most polluting rivers before it gets into the ocean. So really cool things. And I'm lucky enough to be part of our sustainability committee to make sure that we're protecting the world for our future. Excuse me. So I am so thrilled, like I said, to be able to have the chance to talk to you. I was asked to talk a little bit about education and steps you should take to get into this industry. Certainly, an education is important. Whether it's a college degree really depends on what you want to do. For me and for any role in travel, I think that knowing geography is so important. It is my number one category in Trivial Pursuit. In Jeopardy, I always get the questions right. It's really an important thing to know, knowing the world, and also geopolitically, knowing what's going on in the world, being very aware. So those are some tips that I would have for you. Excuse me. I also would suggest that public speaking, as I'm having a hard time doing it because I'm coughing, is an important thing to have. Customer service skills. All of these are things that you can learn by doing, and taking an opportunity to start your career working with guests, I think is the best way to get your feet wet and get into this industry. So I wish you great success in whatever it is that you do in the travel industry. There are great opportunities in sales, in marketing, in revenue management, in data. So if you aren't interested in public speaking and you aren't interested in all of the things I've talked about that are my job, there are other types of jobs. There are so many opportunities. So again, wishing you great success, and thank you again.